Hey guys, and welcome to this new episode of the podcast, A Thrive Method. And I'm really looking forward to getting to this one because habits, habits really matter. Habits shape your outcomes, and we all have them. We all have found ways to manage certain feelings, emotions, and also beliefs. Okay, and they shape our life, or they have the ability to. And if we, or until we are ready to address them, we're always going to stay stuck with old habits that are keeping us locked in with our current reality and our experiences. So, yeah, this is really, really powerful. And when I'm working with anyone, one of the big things and areas that we work on is highlighting some of the habits that have been there for many years, decades, okay, and start to break them down, understand them, why they're there in the first place, and how we can shift away from them and create newer and more supportive habits from those old habits and habit loops. Okay. So that's what we're going to get in today. And yeah, really, really powerful thing to get into. Before that, I think most people, when talking about habits, kind of miss a trick here. Well, it's not much of a trick, but it's something that we need to address first, okay, before we actually get to the habits themselves. Now, what I'm talking about is identity. We need to understand that we need a why, an outcome that really means something to us, and then start to shift and understand what does the identity to that person that's looking to achieve those outcomes, those experiences with their health, fitness, and well-being and their life. What is their identity? How do they show up on a day-to-day basis? Because once we've got that, then we can start to talk about habits. What are the kind of habits that person has? We can also then start to obviously talk about breaking down those poor habits. So, what we need to understand is we need to start with identity. And from effort to identity, the habit shift that changes everything. Okay. So, if your health still feels like effort, it hasn't become an identity yet. So everything worth doing is going to need effort. We're going to have to put some effort in, understandably. You don't get anything in life without putting some effort in. Okay. But we need to start to understand that can we start to break down the certain habit traps and loops that we're caught in that are keeping us locked in, keeping us in our current reality. And then when we start to break them down, we can start to create the identity and we feel a lot more in a much more of a flow state. We see things in a much more supportive light. And there is a reason why we're doing it. We need to know as human beings why on earth are we wanting to make this change in the first place. That takes a level of effort. Okay. There has to be a reason behind that. So most people don't struggle because they're lazy. And look, everyone that I work with, they're not lazy. They may start to think that they are because they can't get the results that they're looking for, but it's most likely because they struggle with life is just literally so busy and overwhelming, understandably, with career or business growth, family, looking after family and making sure that they're okay, and commitments and relationships and friends and social commitments. It's just like it's high stress. It's all or nothing. It's all in, and there's not much energy and focus left for yourself. Okay. So when life is busy, stress is high, habits aren't designed for the outcomes that you want. They're most likely rooted in ways that you've created and things that you've created just to get through things, just to like manage your stress or manage your anxiety or just manage your overwhelm. We all have these um cues and things that happen to soothe us our way through these certain feelings and emotions that we're trying to cope with. So it's not a motivational problem, it's a systems problem. Okay. And that's why it's so important that we get clarity on the why and the outcome. And when I say why and outcome, I'm not talking about a particular just singular goal. I'm talking about how you want to feel, how you live life, and the impact you're going to have on your own life and also the people that you care for. Like that's the depth of it. Like that's how where we want to get to, something that really shifts you physically and mentally. Now, within that journey, there is goals, like there is how you want to feel and be on a holiday. There is a certain event that's coming up that you want to be your ultimate best physically and mentally. Yeah, like there are goals along the way towards the ultimate why or North Star that you're aiming for. Okay. And that's when we need the systems that are going to help us towards that. Okay. Now, this is a James Clear quote above here from the book. I've forgotten the book name. James Clear. I've read it. Atomic Habits. There you go. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And it's so true. I've seen it so often in my own life and with and with the clients that I work with as well. Now let that sit in. Then briefly relate to business schedules, family demands, work pressure, social pressure. You've got all of this going on. Okay. Um, these things are always going to pull you left, right, away from where you want to be. Um, and it's about finding how do we up regulate our levels of systems to help us to get through all of this stuff that you've got going on in life. So let's go back one. So this is why we are, where we're at. Like this is why we're in the position that we find ourselves because we've got old systems in place that supported us back in the day. They might have made us feel good for a short period of time, and we've created these old habits that help soothe the way we're feeling, like stress, overwhelm, anxiety, just so much going on, and coping mechanisms. And those are the things that are made us feel pretty good at the time, whether that's alcohol, whether that's poor quality food, whether that's procrastination, whether that's just working later at work and just constantly checking your emails. Like they're old patterns and habit loops that when these feelings and emotions arise, that's where you go to just to get through life. Okay. And we want to understand that they don't have to always be there. And we can start breaking those down once we get that focus and understanding what they are and start to create new ones. Okay. And then that's where habits come in. Okay. So before we get into the habits bit, effort, what we need to understand is why effort fails. So this whole idea of like, and this is something I'm really helping a lot of people at the moment is like coming away from this like all or nothing, this the way social media depicts everything where like we need to be training like a marathon runner all the time and doing high rocks all of the time, or we need to be six pack abs and just all in or nothing, or we need to be doing something quite bizarre with our nutrition to be optimal. Um, and a lot of that stuff goes towards needing more motivation and more discipline. Now, those two things are very limiting physically and mentally. You're not always going to be motivated. That fluctuates. It comes and goes. It's never there when you really need it. Okay. Discipline, okay, is limited. You're going to run out of that, particularly when you are so tired and overwhelmed and, you're being pulled in multiple different directions. And those two things only pull you closer and closer towards more stress, more fatigue, more disruption. Effort breaks under pressure. So once you are under that pressure and you're just trying to motivate and discipline your way through it, you're going to go back to the habit loops that you have built in now over decades, probably, of helping you through these certain feelings and emotions. And then you are stuck in the reality that you find yourself until we can start to break them down. Okay. Now, here's the shift: effort equals temporary change. And we've all been there. We've all gone, right, head down, let's get through this big effort, big push. It's temporary. It's only going to get you so far, and you're going to be stop starting. Identity equals lasting change. Okay. So it's about flipping it. There's the shift. Once we get that clear why, North Star, of how we want to start showing what the feelings, emotions, and outcomes we want in our life, then we can start creating the identity and start getting clear on that. And you can start making this very simple shift, but very effective shift. I'm from, like, for example, I'm trying to be healthy to I am someone who looks after my health. Because once you say, and it might sound quite small and insignificant, once you make that shift there, it is so much more empowering. I am someone who looks after my health. Okay, well, what does that look like in this situation that I find myself? Is the identity to go and grab a chocolate bar and a liter of Coke and like just not do anything? Well, of course he doesn't. But is it just get up and go for a walk, just clear my head? Well, that is someone who looks after their health. No matter how small that might feel, someone who's made that shift just goes and moves their body, not necessarily training, but moves their body. That is a massive shift. Okay. And that's why effort is only going to get you so far, and identity with uh, constant work and reflection and working on it. It's like a muscle that you work at a gym. You know, you're only going to get better at that thing. So that's why identity is so important. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on whom you wish to become. From that place is where you become powerful. That's where you can put down the motivation and the discipline way, and that's the only way, and move towards who do I show up as in this situation with these feelings and emotions that I'm feeling right now. How does that person show up? Now, onto the actual habits. How do they actually work? Okay, so this is the habit loop. So we have a cue. Now, that may be a trigger of something. As I've said, it'll be a feeling, emotion, or even a belief. Okay. Now, that feeling, emotion, and belief leads us to an action, a particular behavior. For example, if we are feeling stressed, we may mindlessly eat. We may mindlessly walk into the shop, just grab a load of stuff and just start eating it after you've paid for it, obviously. We make poor decisions around alcohol. Okay. These are those soothing behaviors. We may just procrastinate or just start scrolling on social media. That's the behavior. Now, the reward then is the feeling, the result. And in those, what I've just mentioned, whether it's poor food habits, alcohol, uh, additional workload, checking your emails, procrastination, social media scrolling, that brings dopamine effect. That brings a certain short-lived outcome. Okay. And that's the result. Um, and we all have these habits. The question is, are they working for you? Now, those examples that I've just given you, no, of course they're not. Okay. But we really need to understand how these habits come about, why they are there, okay, and why we need to start breaking them down. So there is a cue, the trigger, okay, the action, the particular behavior from that cue, and then the reward, the outcome of that. All right. And that reward, as I said, is always very, very short-lived. It feels good at the time, but then it's gone. All right. And you'll know further forwards. If anything, you feel worse off for it. And you've not done anything about it. And it's only going to reoccur when those feelings, emotions, and belief arise again. Okay. So that's pretty much how they work. So here's an example. End of work day, the cue. Finished work, you feel drained. Okay. Old action is sit, snack, and scroll. Okay, you don't move your body, you just snack on stuff, you scroll on your phone. Okay, old reward, you get a level of relief and you escape for a certain amount of time. Okay, it's quick, it's easy, doesn't take much physical effort, and you find that that allows you to cope for that short period of time. Now, here's the shift, new action. 5 to 10 minute reset. Walk, change your clothes, get into a different set of clothes so you feel fresh. You do some breath work, meditation, maybe just to snap you out those work emotions and feelings and into present moment empowerment. Okay. Now, the new reward from just doing that 5 to 10 minutes, just a little shift, you gain clarity, you gain more control and energy. You're going to make better choices moving forwards. And what you've done is you've kicked yourself out of that old habit loop that kept you stuck. Example number two, evening chaos, i.e., dinner. So, cute, hungry, the kids are going crazy, you're low energy because you've got to get through the whole day with everything going on. The old action is quick, reactive food. So, it might be something out the freezer. You're picking up the kids' food. It's not fulfilling. It's not supportive. You're most likely going to snack later on in the night. Your sleep's going to be horrendous. It may be even a takeaway. The reward is it's quick, less stress. But in the long term, it's not supporting anybody. You, the kids, the family, nothing. Okay? The shift, new action, protein color rule, go-to meals are ready. So having two or three go-to meals at one, have a supportive protein in for you and the kids. They're colorful. There's like a little rule I give my clients is 3 to 4 colors. Even if you get 2 to 3, it's better than just being beige. Okay? And you have them ready to go so you can pile them together nice, quick, and easy. It doesn't take much effort and prep. Bang, it's there, it's easy. And new reward is sustained energy. You've got more energy to go and do something else in the evening. Feel nourished, so you're less likely to snack on more poor quality stuff and less guilt. Okay. And particularly when it comes to the kids, you've fed the kids in a way and you've fueled them and supported them and you've fueled yourself. Again, nice little shift there with that particular habit loop. And number three, missed gym session. This is something that crops up a lot when I'm working with clients. The cue, missed workout. So the old action is, I failed. There's no point now. What am I doing? And you spiral into negative mindset. The reward is justification. Told you I was never going to be able to do this. Why me? It's not fair. It's all right for everybody else. Whatever it is. Shift here, one small win immediately. So that could be a walk. It could be grab some water. It could be a protein meal. Now, this might not seem massive, but like literally what you're doing here is when that happens, and we're all going to miss a gym session. It's life, work happens, kids happen, family happens, stuff happen. And what we can do is go, right, that gym workout isn't happening. I haven't got 45 minutes to be at the gym now. It's just what I just can't do it. I can take myself for a 10, 15-minute walk. I can go home and do a 10-minute body weighted gym session. And you see the shift? Okay. And that is going to only pull you towards feeling like you've still got momentum. You've gained confidence that you can work through these things and still show up, and identity stays intact. You are someone that still trains no matter what happens. You just find a way, you just shift it. As I said, whether that's going for a walk, a bike ride, or you do a yoga session at home, or a mobility flow, or a 10-minute home session, you just do something. And that is a shift that's done more over time is going to break that old cue of missed workout, failed, blah, 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 to no, I'm just going to shift things. I'm just going to make that a maneuver. Now, really important, make it practical. You don't need a perfect plan. If anything, I tell most of my guys is like, we're not using that terminology. There is no perfect, particularly in nowadays, like with what everything we got going on. We're not looking for perfect calories and macros. We're not looking for the perfect training plan or the perfect daily or the perfect sleep. Okay. We're just looking for something that's practical and we can mold it and use it with whatever we got going on. You don't need more time like I just used with the training thing and the meal stuff, quick and easy, ready to go meals that you can get hold of. And also, you can shift your training to be 20 minutes. You don't need an hour. More motivation. and more discipline. Those two things are only going to keep you limited because if you've relying on motivation, it's going to let you down in the most times. Um, it's just not there when you need it. More discipline. Well, how much are you going to need to get to where you need to get to? It's you're already got so much going on. So what you do need is you need better responses, better awareness to everyday moments. Okay, so once we get better responses, we can kick ourselves out of those current habit loops. So habits are a compound interest of self-improvement. Small actions, repeated daily, massive change over time. It's not perfection, it's just small, manageable, repeatable daily actions over time. That's all we're looking for here. Okay? So, your habits, this is the payoff here. So your habits shape your energy, your patience, your health, your example. And this is something I'm really, really passionate about. Your children or grandchildren are watching what normal looks like. Now, if they can see habit loops, you know your habit loops, they're going to see them. They're going to see when you're stressed, when you're anxious, when you're overwhelmed, when you've got a short fuse. They're going to see how you react. They're going to see what you do. And unfortunately, they're going to follow that. Okay, so this is why it's so important for me that we start to break down these particular old, redundant identity and habit loops and build new ones in because it's going to not just impact you, it's going to impact the people around you that you care for. And again, it's not about being perfect, not about doing everything right. It's about becoming someone who shows up consistently. And that looks very different from person to person. Okay. But being able to show up consistently in alignment to your true ultimate self, the outcome that you want to achieve over time. Now, here's the task. And like anything, like for us to be able to have a real effect, we need to actually take action. So, what I want you to be able to do now is I just want you to reflect on one habit loop today. And I want you to identify the cue. Okay. What's the feelings and emotions that led you to a action? Okay. And just witness that, not judge you, not judge yourself. Okay. Because if you judge yourself, you're going to come from a very limited and judgmental place and you're going to feel negative about it. So just reflect on one of those habit loops that you know is keeping you stuck. Identify the cue. Now, once you've done that, what I want you to start to think about is what is the change response? What are my options there? What are the different actions I can take that align me up to making progress and showing up how I want to show up? Okay, the identity. And then go, what is the reward? If I did that thing that isn't perfect, doesn't take up lots of time and energy and effort, but if I just did that thing instead of that thing, the old pattern, the old action, what's the reward? What's the long-term reward from that? How am I going to feel? How am I going to show up for myself and my family? What's the reward? And look, just start small and start being consistent with that thing. But pick one habit loop that's keeping you currently stuck. Okay. And from there, you can then start to work on that one. Okay. Not to be perfect, but keep working on it, making it better, being good at it before it becomes your new normal and you are aligned. And then you can start working on other ones from there. Okay. But just pick one and then just work from one to the next. And I wanted to leave you with this quote from Epictetus. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Get that clarity, get that understanding of why it means so much to you. How does that person show up? And then start to act in alignment with that person. That's all I got for you for today, guys. Hope that's powerful. Habits are powerful. We can either fight against them and just like keep them as they are and think some sort of diet or some sort of, training regime is going to fix it. And really, your habits are keeping you stuck. They are the thing that's keeping you in your current reality. And until you want to do the work and start to break them down, see them for what they are and what they're doing to you, and then start to building new ones, you're only going to stay as you are. Now, if you want to learn more about how I can help you to do that, and here at Thrive Method, that's what we do. We help people make huge shifts and changes with their health, fitness, and well-being so that they can thrive in every area of their life whilst managing a busy lifestyle with career, business, family. That's what we do here. If you want to learn more about our current 28-day realignment course, how you can get momentum, start making some changes, I'd love to have a chat with you. I'll put a link in the comments box below this video. Fill that form out and let's have a conversation and let's start making some truly life-changing changes and let's get you thriving in every area of your life.